Imagine two people receiving the exact same paycheck on Friday afternoon. The first person celebrates by opening shopping apps. New shoes, new headphones, a new watch. By Sunday night, the money is mostly gone. For a few hours, the purchases feel exciting. But by next week, the excitement fades. The shoes become normal. The watch becomes invisible. The hunger returns. The second person does something strange. He buys almost nothing. He repairs an old jacket instead of replacing it. He walks through a park. He visits a small cafe with a friend. He cooks a simple meal at home years later. More savings, less stress, and somehow seems happier. Most people look at these two lives and come to the wrong conclusion. They think the second person is sacrificing happiness for money. But what if the opposite is true? What if the first person is sacrificing happiness for consumption? This is one of the deepest lessons hidden inside Japanese culture. It is a philosophy that quietly challenges everything modern society teaches about success. You have been told that spend creates happiness. That a bigger house means a bigger life, that more possessions equal more freedom. But the Japanese discovered something uncomfortable. The things you own often end up owning you. Today, we are going to explore why many Japanese people spend less, save more, and often find joy in places where most people never think to look. Because happiness is not hiding in the next purchase. It is hiding in the things money cannot buy. The empty bowl you are standing in front of a buffet. The table stretches for 50 feet steak, cake, ice cream, pizza, every food imaginable. At first it feels incredible. Then something strange happens. The more choices you have, the harder it becomes to enjoy any of them. You take a bite of pizza while thinking about the steak. You eat the steak while wondering about dessert. You finish dessert thinking maybe you should have chosen something else. You leave full but not satisfied. This is the disease of abundance. Modern life tells you that happiness comes from having more options, more products, more subscriptions, more clothes, more gadgets. Yet psychologists have discovered something surprising. Too many choices often create anxiety instead of freedom. The Japanese have a concept that quietly resists this trap. It is called simplicity. Walk into a traditional Japanese home. You may notice something shocking. There is empty space. The room is not crowded with furniture. The shelves are not overflowing with decorations. The walls are not screaming for attention. Many Western minds see the emptiness and think something is missing. The Japanese often see the emptiness and think something is finally present. Space, breathing room, peace. You are exhausted because your life has become a crowded room. Every object demands attention. Every subscription demands payment. Every possession demands maintenance. You think you own these things, but they are quietly consuming your time. The Japanese understand that every object has a hidden price. Not just the money required to buy it, but the energy required to carry it. Sometimes spending less is not about saving money. It is about protecting your mind. The bamboo basket. Imagine carrying a backpack. At first, someone hands you a single stone. No problem. Then another, then another. Soon, the backpack weighs 50 pounds. The strange part is that nobody forced you to carry it. You picked up every stone yourself. This is how consumption works. A larger house requires more cleaning. A newer car requires more payments. More possessions require more storage. More storage requires more space. More space requires more work. You keep adding stones to the backpack and wonder why life feels heavy. Japanese culture often values something different, not accumulation. Selection. A bamboo basket is beautiful because of what it excludes, not because of what it contains. The modern world encourages endless acquisition. The Japanese approach often asks but different question. What can I remove? You are constantly trying to add your way into peace. A better phone, a better car, a better wardrobe, a better title. But peace rarely arrives through addition. More often it arrives through subtraction. The moment you remove the unnecessary, the necessary becomes visible. Like a sky revealed when the clouds finally move away. The convenience trap. There is a paradox hiding inside modern life. The easier things become, the less satisfied people often feel. Think about it. Food can be delivered in minutes. Entertainment arrives instantly. Anything can be purchased with a few taps. You should be happier than any generation in history. Yet anxiety, loneliness, and dissatisfactions continue to grow. Why? Because struggle creates value. The Japanese understand this instinctively. Consider a simple cup of tea. You can buy one in seconds from a machine, or you can participate in a traditional tea ceremony. The tea is almost identical. One is consumption. The other is participation. The ceremony requires patience, attention, presence. And because effort is involved, the moment becomes meaningful. You are chasing convenience because you think it saves happiness. But convenience only saves time. Meaning comes from engagement. The meal tastes better when you cook it. The garden feels special when you grow it. The accomplishment feels valuable when you earn it. A life without effort sounds wonderful until you realize that effort is what gives life flavor. The Japanese often spend less because they have learned to extract more joy from ordinary experiences. They do not need constant stimulation. They know how to pay attention. And attention is where happiness lives. The river of enough. Most people live beside a river called more. More money, more status, more followers, more possessions. The river never ends. No matter how much you drink, the thirst remains because more has no destination. The Japanese philosophy of contentment offers a different river, the river of enough. This does not mean laziness. It does not mean refusing ambition. It means understanding the difference between need and endless desire. You have been trained to believe happiness exists one purchase away, one promotion away, one achievement away, one upgrade away. But every time you arrive, the finish line moves. Like chasing the horizon, the Japanese often ask a simpler question. What is already sufficient? This question is powerful because it interrupts the endless chase, the roof over your head, the food on your table, the friend who calls you, the sunset outside your window. These things become invisible because they are familiar. Yet they are the foundation of a meaningful life. The person who never feels, the person who recognizes enough can be ordinary and content. One lives in scarcity, the other lives in abundance. And the difference exists entirely inside the mind. The cherry blossom economy. Every spring, millions gather beneath cherry blossom trees. The flowers bloom, the wind blows, the petals fall. Within days, the beauty is gone. This tradition reveals something profound about Japanese thinking. The most valuable things are often temporary. A conversation, a sunset, a season, a childhood memory, a dinner with loved ones. These moments cannot be purchased, only experienced. Modern consumer culture teaches you to collect objects. The cherry blossom teaches you to collect moments. Objects age. Experiences become stories. Possessions lose value. Memories often gain value. You are spending enormous amounts of money trying to purchase feelings, excitement, peace, connection, wonder. But feelings rarely come from the object itself. They come from attention, presence, meaning. The Japanese spend less because many have learned a secret that advertisers hope you never discover. The happiest parts of life are usually free. The sound of rain on a quiet morning. The smell of food cooking in the kitchen. The laughter of a friend. The feeling of sunlight on your face. The cherry blossom falls because it cannot stay. That is what makes it beautiful. And perhaps the same is true of life itself. One day your favorite song will play for the last time. One day you will hug someone you love for the last time. One day you will watch your final sunset. When you truly understand this, something changes. You stop asking what else can I buy and you start asking what can I appreciate? That question changes everything. So tell me, what is one simple thing in your life that costs almost nothing but brings you genuine happiness? A morning walk, a cup of tea, a conversation with someone you love. Write it in the comments. Because sometimes the richest life is not the one that spends the most. It is the one that notices the most.
Every month you go to work. You give your time. You give your energy. You give the best hours of your day. And at the end of the month you count what is left. Sometimes it is very little. Sometimes it is nothing. And a quiet thought appears. If only I earned more. If only the salary was higher. If only there was more coming in, everything would finally change. But here is something that modern finance rarely teaches. The problem is almost never how much is coming in. The problem is how much is silently leaking out. In Japan, there is a word for the feeling you get when something useful is wasted. When food is thrown away uneaten. When money is spent without thought. When a life is lived without intention, the Japanese call this feeling mati. And this single word, this one quiet emotion has helped generations of ordinary Japanese families build more wealth with almost nothing than most people build with everything. Today I want to tell you their story. Chapter 1. The Woman with the Empty Jar. Her name was Ko. She was 53 years old. She lived in a small house in rural Japan. She had never held a high-paying job. Her husband worked as a factory worker for 30 years. Their combined income was modest by any measure. They never had more than enough. Sometimes they had less. Yet, when Ko's children grew up and left home, they discovered something they had not expected. Their mother had savings. Not a little, a significant amount, built quietly, steadily. Over decades, her daughter, who worked in Tokyo and earned 3 times what her parents had ever made together, had almost nothing saved. How? The daughter had asked this question many times. How did you do it with so little? Ko smiled. She pointed to a small ceramic jar on the kitchen shelf. Every week, she said. I ask myself one question before I spend money on anything. Will I regret throwing this away? And if the answer is yes, I do not buy it. Because what I cannot bear to waste, I will never buy without reason. This was Matana. Not a budget, not a spreadsheet, not a financial system with rules and percentages. Just one question, one feeling, one ancient Japanese understanding that waste is not just physical. Waste is financial. Waste is time. Waste is the quiet daily erosion of a future you could have built. Ko had never read a finance book. She had never attended a seminar. She had simply inherited a philosophy from her mother who had inherited it from hers. A philosophy born in a country where resources were scarce and waste was not just foolish. It was disrespectful to the effort it took to earn the money to the people who had less, to the future version of yourself who would need what you so casually threw away today. Matana is not about suffering. It is not about denying yourself. It is about seeing clearly, seeing what you have, understanding its value, and refusing to let it disappear into nothing. Chapter 2. What waste actually costs you. Imagine a small crack in the wall of a dam. On the first day, it seems harmless. A thin line, barely visible. No one is alarmed. No one moves to fix it, but water finds every opening. Every day, the crack grows slightly wider. Every week, a little more water escapes slowly, silently, without drama, until one day, the dam is no longer holding what it once held. And the loss feels sudden, even though it was happening all along. This is how financial waste works in modern life. Not one catastrophic mistake. Hundreds of tiny ones. A subscription running that you forgot you had. A meal bought out of habit, not hunger. A product purchased because it was on sale, not because it was needed. An upgrade made because the old thing still worked, but the new thing looked better. None of these feel significant in isolation. Together they are the crack in the dam. Research consistently shows that most people are not financially struggling because their income is too low. They are struggling because their spending has tiny leaks in almost every direction. The average person loses between 15 and 30% of their monthly income to spending they cannot fully account for. Not to rent, not to food, not to anything they would point to proudly, to convenience, to impulse, to the vague, restless feeling that something is missing and maybe this purchase will fill it. The modern philosophy does not attack your big expenses. It illuminates your invisible ones because the invisible ones are almost always the ones that matter most. When Ko looked at a purchase, she did not ask whether she could afford it. She asked whether it was worth the effort that earned it. Her husband had spent 8 hours at the factory for that money, 8 hours of his body, 8 hours of his life. Was this purchase worth 8 hours of his life? That question changes everything because money is not just money. Money is converted time. Money is converted effort. Money is the physical record of hours you will never get back. And when you see it that way, truly see it, waste becomes almost impossible to justify. Chapter 3. The 4 Pillars of Madanai. The Madanai philosophy is built on 4 pillars. 4 words in Japanese that have guided families through poverty, war, scarcity, and modern abundance alike. They are simple. They are ancient. And applied to your finances today, they are more powerful than any budgeting app you will ever download. The first pillar is reduce before anything enters your life. Question whether it needs to, not after you own it, before. Japanese families have practiced this for centuries by asking one question before any purchase. Do I genuinely need this or do I only want it right now? The gap between need and right now is where most financial damage happens. Need is durable. Right now is temporary, and temporary purchases paid for with permanent money always leave the buyer slightly poorer and often slightly emptier than before. The second pillar is reuse. Before something is discarded, question whether it still has life. This goes far beyond physical objects. It applies to money itself. Every time money passes through your hands without being put to work, it has been discarded. Money that sits in a current account earning nothing. Money that was spent on something that no longer serves you. Money that was given away to a subscription you forgot you had. The Matana principle asks you to reuse your money. To give every rupee, every peso, every taka a destination before it arrives. To decide in advance where it will go so it does not simply disappear into the noise of daily living. The third pillar is recycle. In financial terms, recycling means redirecting. When an expense ends, a debt paid off, a subscription canceled, a habit broken, the Madanai thinker does not allow that freed money to be absorbed into new spending. They redirect it, into savings, into investment, into the future version of themselves that will one day need it. Most people experience a brief moment of financial freedom when an expense disappears and then almost automatically a new expense appears to fill the space. The Madanai principle interrupts that automatic response. It says you freed something valuable. Do not waste what you just recovered. The fourth pillar is respect. This is the deepest and most important pillar. Respect for the effort behind every coin. Respect for the sacrifice represented by every hour worked. Respect for the future self who will inherit the decisions of the present self. When you respect your money, truly respect it, careless spending becomes uncomfortable. Not because you have imposed a rule, but because something in you understands that this money means something. It was earned. It was worked for. It deserves better than to disappear without purpose. These 4 pillars are not restrictions. They are a way of seeing. And once you begin to see your money through the lens of Manai, you cannot unsee it. Chapter 4. The Invisible Savings. There is a phrase in Japan, Mati Karatoku. It means it would be wasteful to throw this away. So I will keep it. For generations, Japanese households kept a practice called kechiku. Careful accumulation, not dramatic saving. Not extreme sacrifice, just the quiet daily refusal to let anything valuable disappear without purpose. Consider what this looks like in practice. A Japanese family cancels a subscription they use twice a month. Small saving. Almost invisible. They stop buying lunch outside 3 days a week. Small saving. Almost invisible. They repair a household item instead of replacing it. Small saving. Almost invisible. They choose the modest option instead of the upgraded one when the modest option serves them equally well. Small saving, almost invisible. Now add those invisible savings together across 12 months, across 5 years, across a working lifetime. The invisible savings become something extraordinary. Not because any single decision was heroic, because they were consistent. This is the truth that modern financial culture refuses to celebrate because it cannot be packaged. It cannot be sold. It does not require a product or a service or a subscription. It only requires a shift in how you see the money that already passes through your hands. Most people are waiting for their income to change. The Matana philosophy says the money you need is already there. You are simply not keeping enough of it. Every day you practice Matana. Money that was previously leaking quietly out of your life begins to stay. Not dramatically, not all at once. Drop by drop until one day you look at what has accumulated and you understand what co-understood. Wealth is not built from what you earn. It is built from what you do not waste. Chapter 5. The 3 Matanai Money Rules. Matanai is not just a feeling. It is a practice. And like all practices, it becomes powerful when it is applied consistently through specific habits. Here are 3 rules you can start this week. Rule 1, the waste audit. This week, take 20 minutes. Write down every purchase you made last month. Every single one. Then beside each purchase, write one honest word. Either needed or wasted. Do not judge. Do not feel shame. Just write honestly. Needed means this purchase genuinely served your life. Wasted means you could have lived equally well without it. Total the wasted column. Most people are shocked by the number they see, not because they are careless people, because they have never looked before. Looking changes behavior. It does not require willpower. It does not require discipline. It only requires awareness. And awareness once created cannot be undone. Rule 2, the 1-week pause. Before any purchase that is not food, transport, or a bill, wait 1 week. Not forever. 1 week. Write the item down. Set a reminder for 7 days later. When the reminder arrives, ask yourself, do I still want this? Do I want it as much as I wanted it 7 days ago? In most cases, the answer will be no, not because the item was bad, because the impulse that created the want has passed. Impulses are not decisions. They are temporary feelings dressed as decisions. The 1-week pause separates the two. And most impulse spending collapses when given 7 days to explain itself. Rule 3, the freed money rule. Every time an expense disappears from your life, a debt paid off, a subscription canceled, a habit changed, that money must go somewhere immediately. Name it before it arrives. Savings account, emergency fund, investment, anywhere that is not simply absorbed into new spending. The moment money is freed, it is in its most dangerous state. Because the brain immediately begins searching for somewhere to send it. If you have not already decided where it goes, it will disappear into convenient spending within days. Name the destination first, then let the money travel there automatically. This single habit, the freed money rule, compounds quietly over years into something that will change your financial life more than any salary increase ever could. Chapter 6. What Ko knew. Ko's daughter eventually understood. Not immediately. It took years of her own financial struggle before she sat down and truly listened. Her mother had not built wealth through sacrifice. She had built it through awareness. She had simply refused to let her family's effort disappear without meaning. Every coin that came into the house was respected. Every purchase was considered. Every expense that ended was redirected rather than replaced. It was not dramatic. It was not difficult. It was simply a way of living that said this matters. What we have matters. What we worked for matters, and what we choose to do with it matters more than any raise, any promotion, or any improvement in income could ever compensate for. The word Madanai carries something inside it that no English translation fully captures. It is not just what a pity. It is a recognition that something of value is being lost. And that recognition, when applied to money, creates a kind of quiet, dignified financial discipline that no external rule can replicate because it comes from inside. From a genuine understanding that your money represents your time, your effort, your life, and life more than anything else should not be wasted. This is the wealth that Ko built. Not just in her ceramic jar, not just in her savings account, but in the way she saw every coin that passed through her hands with respect, with intention, with manai. And that is the kind of wealth that no emergency can take away, because it lives not in a number but in a practice. A practice that begins the moment you decide that what you have already earned is worth protecting. Start with the waste audit this week. 20 minutes last month's purchases. One honest word beside each one. That is all. The number you see will tell you everything you need to know about where your financial life can change. If this story shifted something in how you see your money today, subscribe. Every week I share one Japanese wisdom story that most people never hear. Hit the bell so you never miss one. Tell me in the comments. What is one thing you spend money on every month that you know, if you are honest, is wasted? I read every comment. And if you want to go deeper, watch this video next. It reveals the Japanese savings system that helped ordinary families save half their salary without feeling like they were sacrificing anything. The link is on your screen right.
Imagine receiving your paycheck on Friday afternoon. You look at the number on your screen. It isn't impressive. It isn't the kind of salary that financial influencers brag about online. There is no luxury car waiting outside. No six-figure investment account. No secret business generating passive income while you sleep. Just a normal paycheck. Almost immediately, anxiety begins to creep in. Rent, food, bills, unexpected expenses, the future. You start doing the math in your head. The numbers never seem to work. Every month feels like a race against a clock that is moving too fast. Now imagine a different person. He earns roughly the same amount. His salary is ordinary. His clears throat job is ordinary. His life looks ordinary. Yet somehow he sleeps peacefully. He isn't constantly checking his bank balance. He isn't panicking every time an expense appears. He isn't trapped in an endless cycle of financial stress. What secret does he know? Most people believe wealth is created by earning more. The Japanese discovered something different. Wealth begins long before income increases. It begins with the way you think about money. In post-war Japan, millions of families had very little. The country had been devastated. Resources were scarce. Salaries were modest. Yet over the decades, Japan became known for one of the strongest saving cultures in the world. How did everyone become rich? No. Many simply learned a system. A system designed not for millionaires, not for investors, not for entrepreneurs, but for ordinary people with ordinary incomes. A system so simple that most people is exactly why it works. Today we are going to explore the Japanese money system for low-income people. A philosophy that teaches you how to stop feeling poor before your income changes. Because the biggest financial problem in your life may not be the amount you earn. It may be the way you think. The leaking bucket. Imagine you are standing beside a well. Every day you lower a bucket into the water and pull it back up. The water represents your income. The bucket represents your life. Now imagine that your bucket has holes. Small holes almost invisible. At first, they seem harmless. A subscription here, a delivery fee there, a random online purchase, a coffee you didn't really need, a discount item you bought simply because it was on sale. The holes seem tiny. But by the time you arrive home, half the water is gone. Most people believe they have an income problem. Many actually have a leaking bucket problem. This is one of the first principles hidden within Japanese household finance. Before asking how to earn more, ask where the water is going. After World War II, many Japanese families developed an extremely careful relationship with spending, not because they enjoyed deprivation, because waste was dangerous. Every yen mattered. They thus created a mindset that still influences Japanese financial habits today. You are suffering because you focus on the wrong number. You stare at your income. But income is only one side of the equation. A person earning $200 and keeping $500 is often healthier financially than someone earning $5,000 and keeping nothing. Yet, modern culture teaches the opposite. It celebrates the size of the bucket, not the leaks. The Japanese money system begins with awareness, not judgment. The goal is to become conscious. The moment you become conscious, the leaks begin to close and suddenly the same paycheck starts behaving differently. Kakibo. The Book of Questions. In 1904, a Japanese journalist named Hani Motoko introduced a financial method that would quietly survive for over a century. It was called Kabo. At first glance, it looks boring. No flashy charts, no complicated investing formulas, no promises of becoming rich overnight, just a notebook. Most people see a notebook and think it cannot change their life. They are wrong because Kabo is not really about money. It is about attention. Every month begins with 4 simple questions. How much money do you have? How much would you like to save? How much are you spending? How can you improve? Notice something strange. The system doesn't begin with spending. It begins with reflection. Modern consumers buy first and think later. Keikyo reverses the process. Think first, spend later. Imagine walking into a supermarket. You see snacks, discounts, special offers. Your brain becomes excited. You feel urgency. You feel temptation. But Keikyo quietly whispers a question. Do I actually need this? That question sounds small, but it changes everything because spending is often emotional. You buy because you're stressed. You buy because you're bored. You buy because you're lonely. You buy because everyone else has it. The purchase has nothing to do with need. It is an attempt to change a feeling. The Japanese understood something powerful. If you can understand the feeling behind the purchase, you gain control over the purchase itself. Most financial advice focuses on money. Kabo focuses on behavior. And behavior is where financial transformation begins. The bamboo forest. Look at a bamboo forest. Each stalk seems thin, fragile, unremarkable. You might wonder how something so small survives powerful storms. The answer is hidden underground. Bamboo develops an enormous root system. Long before it grows tall, it grows strong. This is exactly how the Japanese approach savings. Most people treat savings as leftovers. They spend first, then save whatever remains. Usually, nothing remains. The Japanese system often reverses this. Save first, spend second. This sounds simple, but psychologically it changes everything. Imagine receiving your paycheck. Before touching it, you move a small amount into savings. Not a huge amount, not something painful, just enough to establish the habit. Now the remaining money becomes your spending limit. Many people hear this and say, I can't save. I don't earn enough. But that is exactly why the system matters. The goal is not the amount. The goal is the identity. A person saving $10 consistently is building a stronger financial future than someone saving nothing while waiting to become rich. The bamboo does not become tall overnight. It grows a little every day. You are trying to build a giant tree in a week. The Japanese system asks you to become bamboo instead. Small, consistent, patient, because patience compounds, and compounded patience becomes strength. The convenience trapped there is a modern enemy that quietly attacks low-income households. It does not look dangerous. In fact, it often looks helpful. Convenience, food delivery, buy now pay later plans, instant purchases, one-click shopping. The problem is not convenience itself. The problem is unconscious convenience. The Japanese often maintain a stronger connection between effort and consumption. Many people still cook at home. Many people walk. Many people repair things instead of replacing them immediately. To an outsider, this can look old-fashioned. But hidden inside these habits is financial wisdom. When effort disappears completely, spending becomes invisible. You order food with one tap. The money disappears silently. You buy something online. The package arrives days later. The pain of spending and the act of spending become disconnected. Your brain loses awareness, and awareness is the guardian of financial health. Imagine a river. Every unnecessary convenience is a small stream flowing away from your financial future. One stream seems harmless. 10 streams become a flood. You are not poor because of one purchase. You become poor because of thousands of invisible decisions. The Japanese system encourages friction not because friction feels good, because friction creates awareness. Awareness creates discipline. Discipline creates freedom, and freedom is the true purpose of money. The rice grain philosophy. There is an old Japanese proverb. Even dust when piled up becomes a mountain. Most people apply this idea to success. Few apply it to money. Imagine a single grain of rice, tiny, almost meaningless. Now imagine millions of grains. Suddenly you can feed entire villages. The same principle applies to wealth. You are obsessed with big money, the huge promotion, the winning investment, the life-changing opportunity. Meanwhile, your financial future is being built by tiny decisions. $1 saved, one unnecessary purchase avoided, one meal cooked at home, one subscription can led, one extra hour of work, one smarter decision. None of these seem important. Individually, they are not. Together, they become a mountain. The tragedy is that most people ignore small actions because they appear insignificant. They want dramatic change. They want transformation overnight. But Japanese philosophy rarely worships dramatic change. It respects accumulation. A mountain is not built by one giant stone. It is built by countless particles of dust. Your financial future works the same way. The lantern in the dark. Imagine walking through a forest at midnight. You cannot see the end of the path. You cannot see the destination. You have only a small lantern. Many people would refuse to move. They want certainty. They want guarantees. They want proof that everything will work out. But the lantern only illuminates a few steps, nothing more. This is how financial progress works. Low-income people often become trapped because they focus on the entire journey. Retirement, home ownership, emergency funds, investments. The future feels overwhelming. The distance feels impossible. The Japanese system teaches a quieter approach. Focus on the next step, not the entire mountain, just the next step. Save this week. Track this month's spending. Reduce one unnecessary expense. Cook one additional meal at home. Improve one habit. That is enough because the path reveals itself gradually. You do not need perfect financial knowledge. You do not need a perfect income. You do not need perfect timing. You need movement. The lantern was never designed to show you the entire road. Only the next few feet. And that is all you actually need. The teacup. There is a lesson hidden in a simple Japanese teacup. The cup is valuable not because it is overflowing. It is valuable because it is enough. Modern society constantly tells you that you need more. A bigger salary, a bigger house, a bigger lifestyle. The target keeps moving. You reach one goal, another appears. You buy one thing, you want the next thing. The chase never ends. Many low-income people suffer twice. First from financial limitations, second from comparing themselves to people who have more. The comparison creates endless dissatisfaction. The Japanese concept of contentment challenges this cycle. Not by rejecting ambition, but by asking a deeper question. What is enough? This question is dangerous because once you answer it honestly, consumer culture loses its power over you. You stop chasing every trend. You stop buying every status symbol. You stop trying to impress strangers. You begin building a life that actually belongs to you. A person who earns little but understands enough often experiences more peace than a person who earns a fortune but constantly wants more. Because peace is not created by income. Peace is created by relationship. Your relationship with money, your relationship with desire, your relationship with enough. The Japanese money system was never really about becoming rich. It was about becoming stable, calm, intentional. It was about creating a life where money serves you instead of controlling you. And that lesson matters today more than ever because the most powerful financial skill is not earning. It is stewardship, not getting money, keeping it, growing it, respecting it. Like a farmer respects each seed. The farmer knows a forest begins with one seed. The Japanese know financial freedom begins with 1 yen and your future begins with one decision. So tell me, if you could improve just one money habit starting today, what would it be? Tracking expenses, saving first, cooking at home, avoiding impulse purchases. Write it in the comments because every mountain starts with a single grain of dust. And every fortune starts with a single step.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get one thing clear. Being a smart woman isn't about how many degrees you have or how flawlessly you handle life. It's about something far deeper. It's about the way you show up for yourself, the way you think, the choices you make, and the life you create that makes you proud. I want to share with you 7 key principles that define truly smart women. These principles don't just help you get by in life. They help you build confidence, earn respect, and create a life that is truly your own. The first thing you need to understand is that confidence is everything. But, here's the reality. Confidence is not something you are simply born with. It is something you develop. Each time you stand up for yourself, each time you take action despite fear, and each time you trust yourself to handle whatever comes your way, you are strengthening your confidence. The smartest women are not the ones who never experience self-doubt. They are the ones who refuse to let that doubt hold them back. The second principle, clearly, instead, she takes a moment to pause, think, and respond with clarity instead of chaos. Leaders must function with intelligence and emotions. Raise a number of impulses, active and institutions. Activity and response. Instead, she takes a moment to pause, think, and respond with clarity instead of chaos. She honors her instincts and apply them. She's stronger, smarter. Instead of because of this, she earns respect wherever she goes. The third principle is something that too many women ignore. Financial independence is a must. If you want true freedom, you cannot rely on someone else to take care of you financially. You don't need to be extremely wealthy, but you do need to understand your money. Where is it going? How are you saving it? How are you investing it? A smart woman takes charge of her financial future because she knows that financial dependence limits her options. Next, let's talk about something that will transform your life once you master it. Setting and enforcing boundaries. A smart woman is not a people pleaser. She doesn't say yes to everything. She doesn't let toxic people drain her energy. And she doesn't allow others to take advantage of her kindness. She knows her worth and isn't afraid to say no when something does not align with her values or her well-being. The moment you stop letting people cross your boundaries, you step into your power in a way that changes your life completely. And finally, the smartest women never stop learning. The world is constantly evolving, and if you're not learning, you're falling behind. A smart woman reads, listens, asks questions, and remains open to new ideas. She does not let pride or ego block her growth. She adapts, adjusts, and continuously works on becoming the best version of herself. So, here's the truth. Being a smart woman isn't about knowing everything. It's about choosing to build your confidence, mastering emotional intelligence, taking charge of your finances, setting strong boundaries, and committing to continuous learning. It's about believing that you are capable and deserving of creating a life you love. The decision is yours. Are you ready to become the smartest, strongest, and most unstoppable version of yourself? Because I promise you she is already within you. It's time to let her out. Confidence is not about always feeling sure of yourself. It's about deciding that no matter what happens, you will figure it out. The smartest women don't wait until they feel ready, they take action first and confidence follows. Each time you push forward despite fear and uncertainty, you prove to yourself that you are capable. That is how confidence grows. Think about it. When was the last time you did something for the first time? Maybe you spoke up in a meeting, went somewhere alone, or made a decision that scared you. In that moment, you might have felt nervous, maybe even unprepared. But you did it anyway, and guess what? You survived. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but what you gained was more valuable than perfection. You gained proof that you can handle difficult things. That's confidence. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is a skill. And like any skill, it must be practiced. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that confidence comes after success. That's not how it works. Confidence comes from action, from showing up for yourself, from pushing beyond what you once thought you couldn't do. If you want to feel more confident, start by taking small risks every single day. Your brain is designed to keep you safe. It doesn't care about your dreams, your ambitions, or your potential. It simply wants to protect you from discomfort and uncertainty. That's why when you step outside your comfort zone, your mind fills with doubt. What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if I'm not good enough? But here's what smart women know. Those thoughts are not facts. They are just fear trying to keep you small. So, what do? You push past that fear with action. You take that first step. And when your mind tries to hold you back, you remind yourself, I don't need to feel ready. I just need to begin. That's why confidence and courage go hand in hand. Confidence doesn't come first, courage does. Confidence is the reward for taking bold action. Let's talk about failure because it's one of the biggest things that stops women from feeling confident. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that failure is something to be ashamed of. That if you don't get it right the first time, you're not good enough. But the smartest women think differently. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary part of success. Every mistake, every setback, every rejection, it's all feedback. It's all information that helps you grow. Think about the most confident woman you know. She wasn't born that way. She has experienced setbacks, faced challenges, and doubted herself. But she kept going, she kept pushing. And with each challenge she overcame, she became stronger. That's what real confidence is. It's not about having no fear, it's about refusing to let fear control you. So, how do you build this kind of confidence? You practice it daily. You speak up even when your voice shakes. You make decisions without over-explaining yourself. You take up space without apologizing. And most importantly, you stop waiting for permission. Confident women don't need approval to go after what they want. They trust themselves enough to take action. Another key to confidence: stop comparing yourself to others. The moment you start measuring your worth based on someone else's life, you give away your power. Smart women know that confidence comes from within, not from social media, not from approval, not from being better than someone else. It comes from knowing that you are enough just as you are. Confidence is not about always feeling great about yourself. It's about showing up, taking action, and proving to yourself that you are capable, even when you have doubts. Because each time you do something you once thought was impossible, you become stronger. And the stronger you become, the less fear holds you back. That's when you step into your full power. That's when you start living on your own terms. And that is when you truly become unstoppable. Smart women understand that boundaries are not barriers, they are guidelines for how they expect to be treated. They don't set boundaries to shut people out, but to protect their peace, their time, and their energy. Too often women are taught to be people pleasers, to say yes when they mean no, to avoid confrontation, and to put others' needs first. But the reality is, if you don't set your own boundaries, others will set them for you. And that is how you end up drained, resentful, and exhausted. Boundaries are about respect, self-respect first. If you don't honor your own limits, you can't expect others to. Many women feel guilty about setting boundaries because they think it makes them selfish. But smart women know that boundaries are an act of self-care. They are a declaration of confidence. They say to the world, this is what I accept, and this is what I do not. So, how do you begin setting boundaries? First, you need to be clear about what your limits are. What drains your energy? What makes you feel disrespected? What are you putting up with that you shouldn't be? If something makes you feel uneasy, exhausted, or taken for granted, that's a sign that a boundary needs to be established. The next step is to communicate those boundaries clearly and confidently. Wise women don't over-explain, apologize excessively, or feel the need to justify their choices. They simply say, I can't do that. Or that doesn't work for me. Or I need some time for myself. Notice that there's no lengthy excuse, no guilt-ridden explanation, just a direct and firm statement. And guess what? That is more than enough. The toughest part of setting boundaries isn't stating them, it's enforcing them. Because here's what will happen. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will not be happy when you start setting them. They may try to guilt-trip you, push back, or make you feel like you're in the wrong, but that is not a reason to back down. It's proof that you are doing exactly what you need to do. A wise woman knows that boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about managing herself. She doesn't set a boundary and then hope others respect it. She sets it and takes action if it is crossed. If someone constantly ignores your boundaries, you limit their access to you. If a friend keeps unloading their problems on you, but never values your time, you stop answering every call. If a coworker keeps pushing extra work onto you, you start saying, that's not something I can take on right now. Let's talk about guilt, because it's the biggest reason many women struggle with boundaries. When you're used to putting everyone else first, choosing yourself will feel wrong at first. You might think you're being unkind or selfish. But let me remind you of something. Your needs matter. Your time matters. Your peace matters. And anyone who truly values you will respect the boundaries you set. The people who get upset about your boundaries are the ones who are benefiting from you having none. Here's the amazing part. When you start setting boundaries, your confidence grows. You stop feeling like a victim of other people's expectations and start taking control of your life. You feel lighter, you feel freer, and most importantly, you start attracting people who respect and appreciate you for who you truly are. In the end, boundaries teach people how to treat you. They are about saying, I matter. My needs are important, and I will not accept less than I deserve. Wise women don't wait for permission to set boundaries. They understand that protecting their energy is not just an option, it's essential. Confidence is not something you are born with. It's something you develop. Wise women know that confidence isn't just about how you look or speak, it's about how you carry yourself, how you trust yourself, and how you exist in the world without apologizing for it. The truth is, confidence isn't a feeling, it's a decision. It's choosing every single day to believe that you are worthy, capable, and enough, even when you don't feel like it. One of the biggest mistakes women make is waiting to feel confident before they take action. They think, I'll speak up in the meeting when I feel more prepared. Or, I'll pursue that opportunity when I feel ready. But, here's what wise women know. Confidence doesn't come first. Action does. You build confidence by doing the thing that scares you over and over until it no longer does. Every you show up, even when you're uncertain, even when your voice shakes, you prove to yourself that you are capable. That is how confidence is built. But, let's address the biggest confidence killer, self-doubt. That little voice in your head that whispers, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough, or you'll embarrass yourself if you try. Self-doubt is a liar, and the only way to silence it is to stop listening and start acting in spite of it. When that voice says, you can't do this, you respond with, watch me. When it says, what if you fail, you say, then I'll learn and try again. Confidence also comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you're going to do something and follow through, you build trust in yourself. When you set a goal and take even the smallest step toward it, you prove to yourself that you can be relied on. That's why the most confident women don't just talk about what they're going to do, they actually do it. They don't wait for motivation. They don't wait for someone to tell them they're ready. And they certainly don't wait for approval. They take action, and through action, they create the confidence they once thought they needed to start. Another key to confidence, they stop seeking validation from others. The moment you start looking for approval, you hand over your power. Confidence is about knowing your worth, not because someone else tells you, but because you decide it for yourself. When you stop needing people to like you, when you stop trying to prove yourself to everyone around you, you free yourself. Because confidence isn't about being liked, it's about being respected. And respect begins with how you treat yourself. That means speaking up when something feels off. That means saying no to things that don't align with your values. That means walking away from situations and people that make you feel small. And most importantly, it means owning who you are, flaws and all, without apology. Confident women don't shrink themselves to make others comfortable. They don't dim their light so others can shine. They take up space, they use their voice, and they know their worth is not up for debate. Now, let's talk about body language. Confidence isn't just in your mind, it's in your posture. When you walk into a room, how you carry yourself speaks before you even say a word. Shoulders back, chin up, steady eye contact. You don't have to feel confident to look confident. And when you look confident, you start to feel it. Studies show that the way you hold yourself directly affects how you think and feel about yourself. So, if you want to feel more powerful, start acting like you already are. And here's the final piece. Confident women understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every confident person you admire has failed more times than they can count. The difference? They don't let failure define them. They don't let it mean they're not good enough. They see it as proof that they are trying, learning, and growing. At the end of the day, confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you create. It's not about being fearless, it's about taking action despite your fears. And when you commit to that, when you stop letting doubt take control, when you start showing up as the woman you want to be every single day, that's when everything changes. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about protecting your energy, your time, and your well-being. Wise women understand that saying yes to everyone and everything is the quickest way to exhaustion and resentment. They know that boundaries aren't selfish, they're necessary. They are a statement of self-respect, and when you set them, you teach people how to treat you. The challenge is that many women have been conditioned to believe that setting boundaries makes them difficult, unkind, or unlikable. We are taught to be agreeable, to accommodate, to prioritize others before ourselves, and as a result, we end up drained, overcommit, and frustrated, all because we are afraid of disappointing others. But here's the truth. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you are saying no to your priorities, no to your peace, no to the things that truly matter to you. And that's not strength. That's not self-abandonment. Wise women understand that setting boundaries is not about controlling others. It's about taking control of themselves and their lives. And holding themselves responsible for honoring those choices. If something makes you uneasy, if something drains your energy, if something goes against your values, you have every right to set a limit. And the best part? You don't owe anyone a long, drawn-out explanation. No is a full sentence. The first step to establishing boundaries is recognizing where they are needed. Pay attention to the parts of your life where you feel resentment, frustration, or exhaustion. Those emotions are signals. They are telling you that something isn't right, that something needs to change. Maybe it's a friend who always takes but never gives. Maybe it's a family member who invades your personal space. Maybe it's a work obligation that is stealing your time. Whatever it may be, acknowledge it. Because once you see it for what it is, you can start making a change. The second step is communication. People cannot respect boundaries they aren't aware of. Wise women don't expect others to just understand. They clearly express their needs. And they do it with confidence. Not with anger, not with guilt, but with certainty and firmness. They don't say, "I'm really sorry, but I just can't." They say, "I feel bad, but I really need time for myself." They say, "I need time for myself." Because when you set a boundary with hesitation, you leave room for discussion. When you establish it with confidence, you make it clear that it's non-negotiable. Now, let's be honest. Some people won't like your boundaries, and that's fine. The people who genuinely respect and care for you will honor them. The ones who get upset, those are the ones who benefited from you having none. And that's not your problem to solve. Your job is not to manage other people's reactions. Your job is to protect your own peace. And here's where most struggle, enforcing the boundary. Setting a boundary is one thing. Sticking to it when people test it is another. And they will test it. The moment you start saying no, the moment you start prioritizing yourself, some people will push back. They will guilt trip you. They will try to make you feel bad. They will try to convince you to return to your old ways. And this is the moment where you either hold the line or fold. Strong women hold the line. They do not bend just to make someone else comfortable. They know that every time they allow someone to cross a boundary, they are teaching them that it's acceptable to do so. And that's no longer an option. One of the most powerful things a woman can do is stand firm in her boundaries without apology. Because boundaries reflect self-worth. They say, "I respect myself enough not to allow this." They say, "I value my energy enough not to tolerate this." They say, "I love myself enough to put myself first." And when you embrace that level of self-respect, you inspire other women to do the same. At the end of the day, boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about protecting what matters most. Your time, your energy, your mental health, your peace. And the moment you master this, the moment you start enforcing your boundaries with confidence and without guilt, you will notice a shift. You will feel lighter, stronger, and more in control. You will no longer feel like a doormat, no longer feel drained, no longer feel like your life is dictated by what others want from you. The reality is, the most successful, fulfilled women are not the ones who do everything for everyone. They are the ones who know their limits, protect their peace, and refuse to betray themselves just to keep others happy. And if you want to step into that version of yourself, it starts with one thing: setting boundaries and never apologizing for it. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you develop. It is a muscle that strengthens with use. Smart women understand that confidence is not about knowing everything or never feeling doubt, it's about taking action in spite of it. It's about showing up even when you don't feel ready. The truth is, no one ever feels 100% prepared all the time. If you wait for confidence before taking action, you'll be waiting forever. Confidence comes from doing, from taking risks, from proving to yourself that you are capable. Most people think confidence means being fearless. It doesn't. It means being willing to fail, willing to look foolish, willing to make mistakes. Every successful, powerful woman you admire has felt fear, has doubted herself, has battled imposter syndrome. The difference is she didn't let those feelings stop her. She took action anyway. She stepped into the room. She spoke up. She made the decision. Confidence is built in those small moments where you choose courage over comfort. One of the biggest confidence killers is overthinking. Smart women know that overthinking is simply another form of self-doubt. It's a trap that keeps you stuck. You sit there analyzing every possible scenario, worrying about what others might think, convincing yourself that you're not good enough. And the longer you stay in that space, the harder it becomes to take action. The best way to stop overthinking: decide and move. Take action before your mind talks you out of it. The more you do this, the more you train yourself to trust your instincts. And that's where confidence grows, from self-trust. The way you carry yourself has a massive impact on your confidence. Your body language sends a message not just to others, but to yourself. If you walk into a room with slumped shoulders, avoiding eye contact, and speaking softly, you are signaling to yourself that you don't belong. But if you stand tall, make eye contact, and speak clearly, you instantly feel more powerful. Research has proven that adopting confident body language, like standing with your shoulders back or using open gestures, actually shifts your brain chemistry, making you feel more in control. Smart women use this to their advantage. They don't just think confidence, they embody it. Another key element in building confidence is self-talk. Your mind believes what you tell it repeatedly. If you constantly say, "I'm not good enough," "I can't do this," or "I always mess things up," your brain will find proof to support those beliefs. But if you start telling yourself, "I am capable," "I will figure this out," and "I belong here," your brain will begin to accept that as truth. Smart women are intentional with their inner dialogue. They don't allow negative self-talk to run unchecked. When a doubtful thought arises, they challenge it. They replace it with a stronger belief. They understand that the most important conversation they will ever have is the one they have with themselves. Failure is not the opposite of confidence. It is part of the journey. Every mistake, every rejection, every setback is a lesson. Smart women don't see failure as a sign to quit. They see it as feedback. They analyze what went wrong, adjust, and try again. The most confident women are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who refuse to let failure define them. They don't dwell on their mistakes. They learn from them. They understand that confidence is not built by avoiding failure. It is built by pushing through it. Confidence is also about who you surround yourself with. If you spend time around people who constantly doubt you, put you down, or fail to believe in your potential, their negativity will seep into your mindset. Smart women are deliberate about who they allow into their circle. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, uplift them, and see their potential even when they don't see it themselves. They don't waste energy trying to prove their worth to those who don't support them. Instead, they invest in relationships that strengthen their confidence rather than drain it. At the end of the day, confidence is a choice. It's not about waiting until you feel ready, waiting until you feel fearless, or waiting for someone to validate you. It's about deciding that you are enough, that you are worthy, and that you are capable. The smartest women know that confidence isn't something given, it's something taken. And the moment you claim it, everything changes.